12 minutes to 8. I think it's time to see something rather lovely. This is Teignmouth this morning. Isn't that wonderful? Feels like the sun is hazy in the sky, waves are rolling in.
It looks like the opening scene of a fantastic costume drama based on the lives of people who live by the sea.
I expect to see horses running by.
It'd be pole dark, couldn't it? One of those ones.
Corseted people on horses.
Absolutely stunning.
I don't know what the weather's like. I think it's going to get warmer. I know John Maguire's down there. We'll talk to him a little later. But Matt did promise it would get a bit warmer than where it is now.
We are going to show you a shot now. This is Teignmouth in Devon, so in the southwest. And our drone image is drifting upward. And do you know what? That is a beautiful picture this morning. You know, we're talking about international travel. Well, you know, that delivers, doesn't it? Not so very far from home.
Certainly does. However, the wildlife conservationists are warning people who are visiting the coastlines over Easter weekend to keep clear of any seals they may come across. Don't disturb them.
Yeah, this is all part of a government-backed campaign by the Seal Alliance, saying that getting too close can lead to seals being injured or even dying. And we can go.
Yeah, sad story about Freddie the seal. You wouldn't necessarily expect to see one popping up in London, but there are hundreds of seals actually along the Thames. They've increased their population too over recent years. Sarah is still with us. You know, they're a beautiful-looking animal, as we've just seen from the film there, and perhaps they seem quite benign, but it's worth repeating, isn't it? This is a wild animal we're talking about.
Absolutely. They are wild. They're not used to encountering people or dogs, so their reactions could be unpredictable. They do have teeth and claws. That's, you know, it's the nature of being a wild animal. They need that to survive. So yes, you must give them space and respect that they are wild creatures.
People will want to see them still. Give us some advice on how to observe them safely and sensibly.
Give them space. Watch them from a distance. Try to keep out of their line of sight. Keep back so they can't smell you. And if they look up or they move, then you've disturbed them. So the best thing to do is stay as far back as you can. Use binoculars or a good camera.
All right, good advice, Sarah. Thank you. Chris Berry. Morning, Chris.
Hi there.
You are a marine mammal medic. There we are. I got it right. What are the sort of injuries that you most commonly see?
Injury-wise, they're either the young pups who get bashed around in the storms and separated by their mums, or separated from their mums, or they are quite often from litter. So obviously entanglements in fishing lines, nets, and one of the worst injuries we see is actually the dog frisbee hoops. The seals play with them, they put them over their necks, and then they grow into them, and they can be really severe injuries.
And by the time a seal is in enough trouble that you have to intervene, I mean, how much can you do to help them, to save them?
We can do a lot. If we can catch the entanglement as early as possible, we can just get down there. A couple of us trained medics will go down there and we can carefully cut the stuff off, and sometimes that's it. That's all we have to do. We can then leave and move on. If the injury is more severe, then obviously it gets transported to a vet and it is supervised and rehabilitated back to health again. But as I say, one of the main things everyone can do is just keep looking on the beach and picking up that litter. Yes. And anything they see, if you just take it with you when you visit the beach, you're doing us a great favour.
Yeah, that's always really good advice, isn't it? And it's tough for seals, isn't it? The pups leave their mums at a very young age.
Yeah, usually by about 3 weeks. Yeah, we lose a lot of them, or we have to come and help a lot of them because the public disturb them on the beach. So the mums are quite often gone out. They've gone out to feed. They obviously need to eat a lot to feed these pups, and the mums are watching the pups on the beach when they're coming back, and then they find out that they're watching the public around the pups, and they're just waiting for the public to go away so they can come back, and in that time the pups' weight's reducing and we have to pick them up.
It's an important time.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, thanks very much indeed. Sarah, good to see you as well. Just about managing to avoid the waves. You can see pretty rough morning here at Teignmouth. There has been a local seal that's appeared here in the last year or so this is one of the reasons why the conservation groups have put up the signs, just to keep an eye on him. And that advice always, keep your distance, give them some space. We can't repeat it often enough. It's a wild animal we're dealing with here, so let's protect them.
Can we use your observational skills? Charlie's going to employ them.
Well, no, just if you can cast your eye on monitor, Matt, you'll enjoy this. So our drone shot is southwest. We're at Devon. This is Teignmouth. And it's just looking out over the water there. It looks like a really beautiful morning, actually, doesn't it?
Looks very peaceful. What are the warmer parts of the country today? Up to around 13 or 14 degrees for you.
Well,
very
let's
nice
pick
indeed.
up on that thought, because the reason we're down there today, John Maguire is there, because there's real concern about people visiting beautiful places like this over the Easter weekend, but a warning that they should keep clear of any seals. That might sound like common sense, but there's real concern.
Yeah, there's a government-backed campaign by the Seal Alliance, and John Maguire is taking a look at this. And there is concern, isn't there? And of course, don't want any damage, but you can't resist going down there when it looks as beautiful as that, John. Morning.
Yeah, morning, Naga. It is beautiful, but as Matt was saying, I can't wait for that 13 degrees later. It certainly isn't that now. I wish I was a seal, really, and have a lot more insulation. Back in the last century, seals, grey seals in particular, were pretty much hunted to extinction. Their numbers were just in the hundreds, but they have, since they've been a protected species, thrived around our coastlines. We think there are probably in excess of 120,000 grey seals, at least, around the British coastline. So they are doing really well. But as there is an increased amount of human interaction as people get out and about this weekend, there are real concerns that you basically shouldn't go anywhere near them, especially if you're walking a dog. Just look here, the usual type of thing you'd expect to see around our coastlines, warning signs at the beach, just encouraging you to keep safe, warning of riptides and things like that. But you will increasingly see signs like this with that message: make sure that you give seals space.
Clearly fearful and distressed, a herd of seals is fleeing the land, heading for the safety of the sea. It's not always an easy journey, but seals can be spooked easily by people or their dogs getting too close. It's the youngest seals that are the most vulnerable, with only around a quarter of them surviving to adulthood. And as the latest lockdown restrictions ease, conservationists are asking people out walking on the coastline to give the animals adequate space.
People can disturb them if they are awake and alert, or they're moving, then they've been disturbed. And obviously the worst situations are when they crash off the beaches and rocks into the sea, and they can damage themselves, cause themselves injury, and all the while that's happening, they're not getting the rest they should be getting.
Last year's first full lockdown has been credited as one reason why some colonies around our coasts have thrived, having been left alone for weeks on end. But the case of Freddie the seal, who died after being attacked by a dog off the lead on the banks of the River Thames last month, has highlighted the potential risks to the wild animals of trying to live too close to people.
There's no doubt with their big eyes, they really are beautiful creatures, but they are wild animals, of course, not at all benign as they appear. So the best thing to do is to keep our distance, Sarah, isn't it?
Absolutely.
As I say, that they're not to be messed with. They are wild animals.
They definitely are. They have teeth and claws. So yeah, you have to be very careful around them. They are inquisitive. They're the kind of image of a mermaid in my mind, so that you can see why people have a beauty fascination for them. So yeah, but you do have to keep back from them, give them space.
And we don't want to be real killjoys and say that you keep too far away, but there are sort of responsible things you can do if you want to go and visit a seal colony, or if you have a local seal that pops up as we have here in Teignmouth. Just give us some tips.
Just keep well away. If you're going to observe them, use binoculars or a long lens camera. Keep quiet, stay as far back as you can. If a seal looks at you, then you've already disturbed it. And if it can smell you, you've disturbed it, which all adds to stopping its rest time, which then impacts on its feeding time, and so it's a knock-on effect. So much as you think it's fun to see it move around, that means you've disturbed it, and it's not good for him.
And as beautiful as they are, it's a hard paper round for a young seal, isn't it? That the mother abandons them, if that's the way to say it, quite early on. So often people find young seals that they think are in distress. So what's the best thing to do there?
Is to observe them for a while from a distance again, so you can't be seen, you can't be smelt. And if you think they've been abandoned for some time, contact the British Divers Marine Life Rescue, who can then send somebody out to assess it. And from there, they work out whether to rescue it or to leave it. Because it could be that the mother's gone out for a feed, which obviously she has to do to sustain the pup. So she could be back. But unfortunately, people tend to go closer, they let the dogs get near, and that will stop a mother coming back at all. She will abandon the pup just like that.
Because she'll be scared off by the scent or whatever it is if the pup's been interfered with. Yeah. And I remember filming a baby seal a couple of years ago that had been rescued after being entangled with some ocean plastic. And when you see the teeth and when the claws...
Yeah, you don't want to mess with them.
No. Yeah. Because, of course, those jaws, those teeth are used to eat whole fish, basically. That's
Absolutely.
what it's designed for.
Yeah, you don't mess with them, and they can twist their necks around, so, they can get to you before you even think they're that close. So, yeah, you have to be very careful of them.
All right. Sarah, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thanks for braving the cold with us this morning. So, yeah, pretty clear message, I think. They are beautiful. If you spot a seal, you will want to take some photos or something like that. Make sure you do it from a distance. All we are saying is give seals some space.
It's a really good message, John. And just, I have to say, alongside all that interesting stuff, isn't it lovely just to be by the sea? We're a little envious, if I'm honest with you.
Always good to be by the seaside.
It's the sound of the waves. It's nice, isn't it? Thanks, John. We'll see you later on. 6:56.
We'll make sure we show you lots of Teignmouth this morning because it's just stunning. Find out what's happening where